Hi, this is Dr. Tom Ianniello from Miller Place, New York, Long Island, and North Isle Wellness Center. And today I'd like to talk to you about handling stress in the body. Now, as we know, stress is one of the underlying problems of most of our health issues. In fact, the medical profession has told us that 87% of diagnosed problems of pathology come from some kind of stress-related disorder. So being that stress is this big buzzword that everybody seems to talk about, the question is, how do we identify the underlying area or cause of the stress? How do we handle that stress? And what means can we do it in a natural, safe, and effective way? Well, at North Isle Wellness Center, our desire is to help you first find out the cause of your stress. And in my clinical experience, there's been a couple of different causes. The three primary causes are, number one, physical irritation to the body or the nervous system. Number two, some kind of stress by means of neurochemical or biochemical nature. In other words, maybe something going on in the body of an infectious level, possibly a nutritional deficiency in the body, or something that's actually keeping the body from getting what it needs to be able to get itself to work normally. And then number three is some kind of emotional issue which is actually burning out the adrenal system. You've all heard of the expression adrenal burnout. Well, that's where it comes from. It comes from the emotional issue involved. So the question is, how do we evaluate exactly what we have to do in order to get the body feeling better instead of just covering up symptoms with drugs? Well, the first way, the physical aspect of stress can be evaluated by actually doing a physical examination on a person's nervous system to find whether or not there is some kind of physical stress on the nerves that feed the emotional centers of the brain. Now, just so you know, the nerves that come out of the neck region go from the neck region up to the brain area, and then at that point go to the emotional centers. So if there's been some kind of trauma to a patient where they've had a whiplash or they've had a fall or some kind of repetitive motion injury to their neck, and I hear from this patient that they have chronic issues with pain and they also have emotional issues, I begin to think, well, let me check them physically to see if there is a problem with the nerves feeding up into the brain center. So that's the first thing that has to be checked. Regarding the neurochemical or biochemical aspects of stress, understand that the adrenal system or the adrenal glandular system, which are two plum-sized glands that sit on top of the kidneys, are the powerhouse glands that help us handle stress in the body. And these glands need certain types of nutritional help in order to work normally. So we do something in this office known as nutritional response testing, where we can physically examine the body, including the adrenal system, and then if it is not working well, we can actually see by nutritional evaluation what specific nutrition is going to fix that glandular problem. So if we handle the nutritional end of the issue and we handle the physical end of the issue, our patients begin to feel better. And then the third aspect of really doing a very thorough evaluation on the adrenal system is by way of laboratory diagnosis, which checks to see if there's any change in the cortisol to DHEA ratio and output. Now, why is this important? Well, again, any good endocrinologist would tell you that in order for the adrenal system to work on a level of balance, you have to have the correct output of cortisol, the correct output of DHEA, and the correct output of the ratio of one to the other. Now again, because we do such definitive diagnostic evaluation, we can actually run an adrenal test, and by way of doing a one-day saliva test where the patient would collect their saliva samplings first thing in the morning, lunchtime, dinner time, and before bed, we would then send that saliva sampling off to our laboratory. Our laboratory evaluates it, sends back the lab report. We then look at the lab report, which tells us how much cortisol and DHEA as well as testosterone are being put out by the body on a given day. We then can put you on the proper supplements to reevaluate and reset your adrenal system and restore them, and then the body can begin to heal itself. So let me just back up for a second. You know, the key issues that are involved or symptoms that are involved with people with adrenal stress are, number one, and in no particular order. Number one, they are chronically sleep deprived or have sleep disturbance. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it would be normal and it would be ideal that a patient should sleep from the hours of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's what Mother Nature requires, 8 hours of downtime to give us 16 hours of good productive time. If you either are crashing earlier in the evening and waking up middle of the night, or staying up very late into the evening and then just only sleeping 4 to 6 hours because you cannot shut down, chances are that there's some kind of stress going on in the body that should be evaluated. So the reason why we do our laboratory diagnosis is to see if the sleep problems that you're having have an adrenal cause. Number two, these people with sleep problems complain of chronic fatigue. When I do lectures out throughout the country, whether I'm speaking to a group of 10 people or 400 people, and I ask people to raise their hands in the audience of how many people are tired and how many people have sleep problems, it is across the board and across the country, 50% of people either are fatigued unnecessarily, no matter how long they've slept, or they just can't shut down. So, understanding that one of the common symptoms of adrenal stress is sleep disturbance. The second common problem with adrenal stress is fatigue. Now, these things are very common but are not normal. A third aspect of adrenal stress, and this is another big one, is emotional swings, where people are either depressed or they are anxious or they're weepy or moody, and women tend to blame that on their cycle. I have to tell you, you should understand that it is not normal in any way to have symptoms just because you're going through a hormonal cycle. You only have symptoms with your cycle as a woman when there is an adrenal or hormonal stress going on. So again, another thing to be evaluated. Number four, problems with libido. Many women just take for granted the fact that as they approach their 30s and into their 40s and even into their 50s, that their sex drive just goes down because it's supposed to. That's completely untrue. The body would not lose its sex drive unless it was under some kind of major stress and it wasn't being handled. So a lot of the women that I work with that come in with libido issues, as we boost and evaluate their adrenal systems to help them with stress, their bodies begin to repair themselves and then their libido returns, which is the norm. And the fifth aspect involved in problems with adrenal system are inability to control the size of our bodies in terms of weight. So most people will complain of being overweight and cannot lose weight, and no matter how much they diet or how much they take care of themselves or how much they exercise, their bodies just won't let go of weight. The reason why women with adrenal stress can sometimes have issues with weight is that the adrenal system regulates hormones, including insulin production. And just so you know, when we do a whole discussion on weight loss, if you want to be able to lose weight, you have to control the amount of insulin production by the body, and the body controls that by means of the adrenal system. So again, in a nutshell, to tie it together, the way that one should handle stress-related problems is to, one, have a physical evaluation of the nervous system to see if there's something going on a physical level which must be corrected physically. Number two, check the body for nutritional deficiencies that can be found and restored. And then number three, in worst case scenarios, actually have laboratory diagnosis done to find out the underlying causes of a hormonal nature to correct the body so that it can permanently heal itself. We have many, many years of clinical experience in this and terrific results without drugs. And again, I invite you to check us out on Facebook and go onto our website at northislewellness.com and check out all the testimonials that are there. And I hope to see you real soon. Take care.